Has it worked?
Press the button.
Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Ask the Accountant number 120. Sorry, didn't know. Wait, you made it out to be 120 is this big, 120, but it's not. It's 180, isn't it? Isn't that not?
120 is also said the same way in dance.
Is it? Is it though? Okay. Anyway, derailed just by the number. My name is Aaron Patrick. Today is the 17th of February 2025, and have we got a great show lined up for you guys? With me, as always, is my co-host with the most. His name is Johann. Johann, how has your week been?
I've not pressed go live on Instagram. There we go. I'm live.
One day we'll be professional with this, right? One day.
Yeah, right. We'll remember everything. And I mean, surely you can automate this. Is there not a button I can press on my Stream Deck? Yeah, I'm good though. I'm good. Busy as always, but good. Just getting things ready for labs, getting the team ready. February, as expected, is just mentally busy for new trials and stuff at Engager. It's busy on point because we do quite a lot of financial due diligence work, and the amount of people that are looking at deals and acquisitions, and they're trying to rush them through, ready for the end of March, ready for that change in the capital gains business disposal, asset disposal relief and stuff.
Yeah,
phenomenal. It's really caused a stir. Whether it's the stir that Rachel Reeves wanted or not is a very different matter, but it's caused movement. So yeah, just busy, lots of plates spinning as per usual. But yeah, how was your week?
Isn't it nice? Isn't it like crazy to think that in a week's time you'll be just about getting on that train ready for labs to start? Like you've got 3 days of.
I will be streaming from Edinburgh Waverley train station to do this podcast, and I'll have to leave you like 5 minutes beforehand so I can go and get on the train before the end. But yeah, it's come around quick. But I think we're ready. Like Ash and Andy have done a fantastic job at getting everything organized and stuff. I've got some crudely written, handwritten notes for my intro and outro speeches. Like the day itself's going to be incredible. We've got some fantastic exhibitors that are all looking forward to being there. So yeah, it's going to be good. Just need to get on with it now. Really, like this next week's going to probably be quite painful.
But I have to say, as both exhibitor and a speaker, like the communication, letting us know what to expect, the back and forth has been absolutely stellar. I'm saying it's your first one. A little bit suspicious here that you've had some third party come in and do all this for you.
No, not at all. I think the benefit is that myself and Ash have done many an event.
Yeah.
Both as a speaker from my point of view, some exhibiting from my point of view, lots of exhibiting from Ash's point of view. So we know the pain points. And we know what's frustrating. Right? So we were able to fix that. Yeah. It's like when we built Engager. We built it based on what we needed to fix in our firms. So we've taken the same approach to running an event. And yeah, the fact that Ash, our social media guys, and Andy have managed to pretty much put this whole event together by themselves in amongst everything else they do brings into question in my mind why you need a third party to organize an event for 850 people. It can be done not easily. It's been bloody hard work for Ash and the team, but it can be done on a sensible budget whilst delivering fantastic communication to the attendees, the exhibitors, etc. You just need to put yourself in those shoes. So yeah,
100%. Well, we won't be anywhere without our amazing community, and you've come and said hello. So good morning to everyone. Good morning to Nick. You were first in today, so well done. You get your don't forget to take your prize on the way out. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Tim with a C. Good morning to you. Hopefully it's nice and good weather over there. Sam's here. Good morning, Sam. Hope you are doing well. Paul's here. Good morning, Paul. Dave's here. Good morning, all. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a great weekend too. Stephanie's here. Good morning, gents. Perks of half term means I'm actually on time. Well done. Means we don't have to put that little tick asterisk against your name today. So that's good to see.
I'll put the red pen back away.
Yeah, it'd be good for your appraisal. Appraisal's coming up. So yeah, you'll do well on that one. Tim with C says, anybody doing anything night before labs? Oh, well, we'll be there. So yeah,
I'm sleeping.
Oh yeah, what time? Yeah, as exhibitors, we have a very early start for that one, so that'll be good fun. But Tim, reach out to us. We are definitely, we'll definitely be around. And there's a Byron as well. If you've never had a Byron, trust me.
It's not all that.
Well, it's better than Almost Famous that has now gone under. So just saying, Byron's still around. Almost Famous isn't. Marcus, good morning to you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Kirsty says good morning. Susan says good morning. All Juliet says good morning. Good morning to you, Juliet. Natasha says good morning. All says good morning. So good morning to Natasha. Sue says good morning. Good morning to our favorite Zero trainer. And James says good morning. Good morning, sir. Hope you are doing well. And Susan Jack's here as well. Good morning to you. Wow, what a crew we have there. There's enough there to play a game of five-a-side football, 2 different teams. So that's what we're going to figure out one day going forward.
What we're saying here is during half term, we do get a better attendance.
And hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got some cracking stories in line for you. So we'll be completely honest, it's a little bit light on news. So we've got a few news articles just to get through. And then we've got a nice little section on our social media performance of the year. We're going to grade ourselves. We'll look back at our year, see what we've learned, see what we've understood, and give you some juicy details on it as well. But let's start off with the news. The first bit of news is our friend of the show, Ash Beeston, has a company called Net Tracker, a vendor called Net Tracker. If you've not heard of them, then do give them a look. They are fixed asset register is their heart and soul. But they've released Net Tracker version 2. Which, when I think how long these guys have been going, it's a long time between version 1 and version 2. That's quite a big chunk between there. But version 2 looks quite exciting. They got the opportunity to give you a quick start guide in version 2. They got new dashboards and menus to try and modernize the look and make it feel much better and much more intuitive to use. And their asset register has had a glow up as well, meaning from what I remember when he told me, there is now the ability to be able to go in and do more than just straight line reducing balance. So for America, there's different assets as well, and you can actually depreciate your asset mid-year, which was always a problem going forward. They've got prepayment accruals and all that sort of stuff coming in as well. A nice little tool, Net Tracker. You guys have had it for a while, right? I don't know how.
Yeah, we've had it in place for a few years. It's one of those tools that I'm still beating my team to use better and more.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, none of our clients have got hugely complex asset registers or anything. So actually, it's been really simple just to do it on paper, as it were. Like there's only maybe 3 or 4 assets. So actually, the time saving of pulling it into Net Tracker and stuff. And there are also clients that don't want to see depreciation on their P&L every month because they don't understand it. So we'd end up spending more time every month explaining it every time. But it's a great tool. And if I had, so we're picking up a lot of bigger clients in our firm at the moment, like multi-million turnover businesses. And you look at them and go, oh, these are going to be brilliant for Net Tracker, but they're already on Zero. And Zero's fixed asset register tool is good enough for those. Whereas Net Tracker was always what we use for QuickBooks clients. So yeah, we're still trying to find the sweet spot. Let's put it that way. But the clients that we do have on there, it is a doddle. They do make our asset registers so much easier to deal with. Especially when QuickBooks doesn't have an asset register as such, and Yeah, not a viable one anyway.
Touche.
We can all have a button. Does it work? Well,
I was always surprised with NetTracker how much they do on the Xero side, and I think it's because yes, Xero does have a fixed asset register, and yeah, it's really functional, way more functional than QuickBooks' attempt. But I think it's quite overly complicated, you know, and it's quite restrictive in some places. I think it's very much like Xero is, right? If you use it exactly how it's intended to be used, brilliant tool, like absolutely brilliant tool. You follow the way that they want it to be done, and you do the workflows that they've kind of built the software to do. Fantastic, and can't go wrong, right? And that's the point, isn't it? They've built a tool where, as the end user, it's really difficult to get this wrong if you follow their view, their ways, and everything else. But I think that kind of that overly kind of structure where it's so built in such a precise way means it's quite restrictive for some industries and some ways and everything else. And I think that's where NetTracker did really well in terms of they were able to go, right, okay, let's make it so that it's just reactive. You post a fixed asset register, it pops up on the software and basically says, oh, you've got this new asset. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to do it by 25%, 10%? What asset category? All that sort of stuff. And the idea is, you know, as an end user, you post your asset, it asks the questions, it then delivers the depreciation, which isn't how the Xero one works, but it is, you know, it's close enough. That's where the QuickBooks one was terrible, right? The QuickBooks one didn't even react. You posted a fixed asset register and it went, okay, now what? And then you had to then go in and set the fixed asset. And but anyway, I can rant all day long about the fixed asset register, which was, remember, an advanced product in QuickBooks. So free agents got a fixed asset register.
Yeah, and again, for the free agent clientele that you put on there, it's absolutely more than adequate. So normally I'd look at NetTracker and go, something like NetTracker and go, oh, they've not got an integration with free agent. But actually, unless you really wanted to manage all your assets and stuff in one platform, you don't really need it. What free agent have is more than adequate for the 1 to 5 employee kind of business that they target. You know, that's the beauty of free agent, is they know their strengths and they play to them. But what does, you know, I get to see the accounting of a lot of businesses through my due diligence work that I do with my clients. Like, I probably look at 5 or 6 different businesses every week. What really scares me is the ones that have got £500,000, £1 million worth of assets. And I can see by the other reports, they're using Xero. So, you know, minimum they'll have this on Xero. That'd be fine. Can I get the asset register, please? And they send you this spreadsheet. And it's version 2024 point blah blah blah. And you look at it and go, right, this hasn't been updated in 9 months. Like, people like that should be using NetTracker.
100%. And their prepayments and I know I think they're working on deferred income and things like that as well. Like, there's a nice tool there for the right client, isn't there? That kind of
is NetTracker that platform that could be the all-in-one working paper solution for us?
I have been kind of pushing down that route. I just more than month end maybe of a kind of thing. But there's so much competition in that market, right? Like, ultimately that's where Xenon and people go at some point, isn't it? Like, that's where you can imagine their products can get to.
Like, I've been trying. Well, I've not. My head of accounts has been trialing a working paper store, and I've got a meeting with her this week to get some feedback on that. But it's from Australia. They've just entered the UK market recently. Active Business.
My work papers.
No, active Business, something like that. I can't remember its name off the top of my head, but from what I saw, it looked very good and very promising. The true test is always when you put the experts with it and leave them to go and do it in their day-to-day workflow. Because they won't be impressed by the gimmicks; they'll be impressed by the results.
And the day-to-day work of it, won't they? Yeah, definitely.
But like, if NetTracker's already doing all your assets, could it pull in the rest of your trial balance and let you do your working papers and post things back? in my mind, they've got the platform for it.
Yeah.
And that would add huge value to their product, which, you know, if you're already going in there to do your work papers, then you're going to do your assets in there as well, aren't you?
Exactly. And let's be honest, that's where your work papers, your assets, your prepayments, all that should be in whatever that work paper software is, right? That's where it needs to be, right? Because that's the whole point of work papers. We're taking the client's management account and we're basically putting compliance into it and adding all this sometimes BS, but we have to do it, right? Like, and we're putting all that into it. So really, that should be driven by the working papers to go forward. While we were talking, Lisa says, good morning. Good morning to you, Lisa. Hope you're doing well. And you see, this is why being early works. We get some bit of gold dust added in here. Communication is the biggest problem, says Stephanie. Is 99% of businesses, including the schools and doctors, good to hear Engager isn't following that trend. Exactly right.
Engager was built to improve communication. We can't follow the trend. If we're building a tool for it, we've got to be good at it.
You want it to be a disruptor, right? Like, yeah exactly. Nick Ross says, is NetTracker the standalone fixed asset register software you recommend? 100% my end. But if I'm honest, I don't really know what else to recommend. What else is in the market? Yeah. But at the moment, Nick, it's 100% the one we would recommend. Dave says, 2 more podcasts from India. I will miss first ever Engager Lab next week. Oh, that's a shame, Dave. Sure, you can't just nip. True story. I nipped to India to go watch Ed Sheeran. I got very ill, but I nipped to India for a weekend to watch Ed Sheeran. You could just do the opposite, right? It's the equivalent of coming to see
it. You got ill with jet lag.
Hey, look, I did it. I was trying to woo my wife, or wasn't my wife at the time, but was trying to impress her. But look, Dave, I went to see Ed Sheeran in India. I'm sure you can come over to the equivalent of Ed Sheeran in Liverpool. Paul says, like the new NetTracker layout reminds me of the QuickBooks view. Interesting. Like Johann, though, only a few clients benefit from use it. Yeah, exactly. I think right with us as well. There's more clients who should be using NetTracker, in our opinion. We just don't push it, and well, I don't push it enough to the team to tell them to start using it more. Like Johann said, awesome. Okay, but overall looks like a nice little glow up. Good to kind of get them in the news, get talking about them. So if you're looking for a fix,
I wouldn't be too harsh to him about version 2.0 because and how long that's taken, because every software company is very different as to what they qualify as a new version. So all right, iOS, we get one of those every year. And Engager, I think we're on version 33 at the moment. But literally, every time we roll out a new feature, that has a new version number. And then we go down that scale of 33.1 point whatever, depending on what the update size is and what we've done. Is it just a little patch? Is it a little bug fix? Then it's a 0.1, as it were. But everyone numbers it differently. So I've since working in Engager with Peter, I've stopped judging people based on those version numbers.
But version 1 to 2 sounds like a huge jump, right? Like that sounds like a big one. And if you think about Pixie, like theirs was Pixie 2.0, wasn't it?
Pixie 2.0,
and that became a huge contentious topic because there was no migration path and all this and it caused
that was a whole new product in effect. That wasn't just an updated version of the previous one.
And when it's this long between, you almost kind of unfortunately my gut feeling is, oh no, this won't be for NetTracker. We've seen it works fine, but that's the problem, right? Our industry's been burnt by a 2.0 being released that's so far down the line. So we've just got to keep that in mind, haven't we? Okay, so that's NetTracker's new 2.0. Keep an eye out for that one. ICAW. I got in some hot water with ICAW. Well, in fact, it's not ICAW, but HMRC. So it's more of a story.
This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you have an opinion.
Exactly. More of a story than anything else. But I put a blog post out on ICAW, or I was asked for an interview for ICAW, on my experiences with MTD or ITS or whatever, whichever one you want to call it these days. Being a beta tester, how it was for me, how it was going through, and overall I was positive with kind of the approach to it, and no one should really be worried about the actual submission of it and everything else. But I was very, very critical in the way that HMRC is supporting the vendors and the accountants at the moment in terms of giving us like the information we need. So great example I had was, as I was filing my own, I got to the year end and there was no way for me to find what was already filed. Like, in an ideal world, that shouldn't be a problem, right? You just jump into your software of choice, you look at what's been filed and everything's there. But what if the clients move accountants? What if the clients move software? What if the client's done this and that? There's going to be so many scenarios where we need to see that history, right? We need to see what has already been submitted so we can kind of work
to enable us to be accurate. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We needed to just make sure we've got all the T's crossed and I's dotted.
And I'm sure you're going to be in a situation as well where you're going to have some clients who, all right, we're foreshadowing here, but there's going to be some clients where they're going to be posting their own. They're going to get to the year end and they're going to come to you or me as the accountant and go, right, can you submit the final bit for me, right? And in some scenarios, we're going to take what they've done. We're going to, add value to it. We're going to manipulate it. We're going to clean it up, whatever the phrase is, but we're going to mold what they've submitted and we're going to then submit the final one for them. Some scenarios, some clients, it's going to be very little change we need to do. Other clients, it might be more. In other scenarios, we're going to look at what they've done, take one look and go, not touching that with a barge pole, and just create it from scratch. Yeah?
Yep.
And that's what I was saying. Like, there's going to be scenarios where we as the accountants, we need to be adaptable for what's there. But HMRC are insistent that their way of doing this is that whatever's been submitted, we have to mold and we have to repair and we have to go through from there. They don't want any other approach to it than that. And like I've said, like there's that, I would say, good 70-80% of our clients is exactly how it's going to go. That's fine. But there's going to be clients who's going to ring me up on the 30th of January, like I had last year, wanting a fit. I'm not going to have the capacity to go through and change it already and everything else. In some scenarios, I'm just going to start it from scratch and off to the races. And HMRC were not happy with that approach and not happy with the idea that we would want to mold it. And they feel it's unfair that we're asking for things like historical submissions. And, we're asking for the likes of Engager and other practice management solutions to be given access to be able to help us deliver this solution. Like, they're upset that that's our approach and it's not, let's just launch it and then we'll fix it going forward. It's like, well, no, we need this right from day one. We need this to launch with these features in play for us as accountants to be able to deliver this service for you. And yeah, it got to the point where HMRC reached out to ICAW reached out to me. I then had to go back to ICAW and they had to go back to HMRC and this whole rigmarole. I'm not talking directly to HMRC, but ICAW are kind of in the middle, going back and forward with my views and everything else, because they felt like I was overly negative on it from an accountant's point of view. But yeah, I mean, what you must, so you've had your webinar, right? So you've had the feedback and stuff. Like, surely I'm not alone in this feeling, right?
Like, first question would be, we're being told to, by software vendors, think how we do VAT, but for income tax.
Yeah.
Right. Well, for VAT, I can go back and look at old figures in the software. Is that not going to be available to us for MTD income tax?
Well, if you're in that same software, yes, no problem. Right. And that's the case with normal VAT, right?
And that's the case with MTD VAT. I can't log into a government gateway and see the old figures.
You can see what they've submitted, right? You can see, and you don't get much more than that, but you can see the submission history, right?
Yeah, but you can't see what went into which box in that submission history.
No,
I would have to go into the current software.
Yeah, agreed.
So, which if I'm doing the tax return anyway, you're not going to like this, I don't think. But if I'm already doing that tax return, surely I'm going into that software anyway to see. Now, actually, so this will work in QuickBooks if they build it the same way. So for clients been doing their VAT returns all year, I can go back in there and go and see what they've been doing, right, when I do their year-end accounts.
Yeah.
I would expect that to be the same for income tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
remember,
client does all their bookkeeping and VAT. I just do their annual accounts. It's there. So I would want that to be the same for income tax. The headache comes, and I know this headache exceptionally well because I have it every single bloody month. The way Xero have built their bloody VAT tool, because my email address is linked to 4 different accounting firms because we've made acquisitions.
Yeah.
I can't see VAT in any of them. So I can't log into Xero and see the history of the VAT returns for that client because I'm linked to another accounting firm.
Yeah.
So I can see where there's a potential hole here. But like when you're using a tool like QuickBooks or Free Agent, where it doesn't matter who's got VAT access and who hasn't for filing, the users can see the VAT returns filed. If they build the income tax tool the same way, that shouldn't be an issue. It sounds to me like Xero might be the problem here.
Well, my point is, you look at any piece of software, right, and they filed on MTD for VAT. Like, we've all been there with a scenario where we looked at the clients and maybe they've jumped from one software to the other, and it's all a bit confusing as to,
so the history's now gone.
Yeah, what actually did they file? And the only source of truth, the only Bible we have to be able to agree which one, like, we could have 2 pieces of software, 2 different periods and 2 different VAT returns, right? The only way we're going to know which has actually been filed is you go into the back end of HMRC, have a look at the history. Oh, right, okay. It looked like period 1 and 2, they were filed on this, and then they jumped to period 2. And like, let's piece it back together. And as accountants, we add value because then we can, properly bring it back in and see if there's any missed periods and all that. We can do our good stuff there. Without that little bit of history, I don't know how we're going to do that for our clients, because on my scenario, right, I just wanted to break MTD. I wasn't there to accurately promote my self-assessment at that point. I was just trying to figure out how to break it. So I was filing this way and then creating a loss and see what a loss did. And I was going through all these different scenarios, each submission, to try and see what happened and see what the thing was. I got to the end of the year, and if I hadn't have saved each one of those submissions, I wouldn't have known, because in fairness, it was a live product, so sometimes things were being cleared and started up again and stuff like that. Fair enough. You won't get that in when it's finally gone live, but scenarios are going to happen where clients are going to jump between software, or they're going to do it this way, or they're just going to panic and just file something, or whatever it's going to be. And I just feel like without that little bit of help our end, that just a way of looking through the history, I feel like that's where we just need as much help as we can from HMRC to deliver this service. We already know it's going to be tight budgets, right? These are tight budgets. We need, so just that little bit of history, that little bit of help, just gives us something to work on instead of just being blind. And I feel like at the moment we're blind.
And the problem is HMRC are sat getting advice and asking questions of software companies who are, let's face it, they're looking at this through rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah,
they're never going to sit there and go, "Oh, QuickBooks aren't going to sit around that round table and go, oh, well, what? Excuse me, HMRC, what will happen if one of our clients left us and went to Xero across the table?" They're not going to ask that question, because in their rose-tinted world, no one leaves.
Yeah, exactly.
No one leaves QuickBooks. No one leaves Xero. Like, we all stay here forever. Like, that scenario isn't in play. And the governing bodies that are sat around that table are so high level, and a lot of them haven't actually been in practice themselves anyway, that they're out of touch with the pain points that, like, you're highlighting. So HMRC aren't going to get this feedback otherwise.
Yeah, because that idea that we would just start again, I actually got pushback from ICAW saying, no. MTD's not been built like that. We can't do it that way. I was like, of course we can. Like, that's our judgment, our professional judgment, to go, what they've submitted is completely wrong. Like there's no like, we can't fix what they've submitted. We're going to have to start from scratch.
We can't file an amended VAT return.
No, but the next period we can bring it all back in.
We'll correct it in the next period.
And this is what this is, right? Because it's cumulative through the year, and then we're going to put in that final period to say, we've stated, I don't know, 50 grand of income. Actually, it turns out it was 45, or whatever the scenario is going to be, right? That's our professional skepticism, our professional judgment, to go in and look at that piece of work and go, right, I could charge you
And it's so easily done
to
for clients that are doing their own thing, right? Because they can go, oh, I've had 50 grand's worth of income and I've had 45 grand's worth of outgoings. Like, no, you haven't. That's owner's drawings.
Exactly.
Or that was your personal tax bill.
Yeah.
That's the bit we're going to have to correct in the year-end adjustment.
And in some scenarios, right, we could charge a client 800 quid to, you know, unwind all the mess they've done, completely fix it, clean it all up, resubmit, blah, 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 and then produce their tax return. Or it could be 500 quid for us just to start from scratch and do it again. Like, they're the sort of conversations we're going to be having with clients. And what, we're not allowed to do the 500 quid option now because MTD wants us to go back and fix what they've done? That's ludicrous, right? Like, that would completely undermine what the point of MTD was supposed to be. It was supposed to, you know, encourage clients to be digital. If we're telling them it's now going to cost, not only do they have to pay for extra software and all this stuff, but potentially their accounting fee is going to go up as well. What? Sorry, like, that's the bit that I feel like, yeah, that's where I'm pushing back and saying, look, yeah, in an ideal world, this software, the MTD is not going to be a problem.
With a lot of things that HMRC do. They do it in an ideal world.
Yeah.
Like, in an ideal world, it should not have been that difficult for us to report the amount of hours in our submissions to HMRC for payroll.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wouldn't have been an issue for me. All it took was for my own payroll software to include that data in their report.
It's already there. Yeah.
But in an ideal world, we realised it's not an ideal world. Most people are still using desktop softwares or HMRC PayYE tools, and they've not got the time or the ability to implement that.
Yeah, in an ideal world, rental property will be nice and straightforward, right? Yeah. You got one bit of income each month, a few for your expenses. You bish bash bosh, you submitted it. Oh, but then there's a scenario where you might have multiple owners, and you know, and all that sort of stuff start coming in, doesn't it? And that's where the problems come, and everything that goes with it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, and I'm in trouble because of my opinions on the matter. But I don't feel I'm being unreasonable. I feel like for us as accountants to deliver this service, we need support from HMRC. We need HMRC to be giving the likes of our practice management solution, like you guys, the data so we can deliver the service efficiently. Like, that isn't just me sat there going, oh, you know, I'm privileged, I want this, I want that. That's me going, look, these are the bare minimums we need to deliver the service. If you want us to deliver a service, at least come meet us, talk to us, and don't do what they did with MTD VAT, which, you know, all these promises and this promised land of we're going to get this, we're going to get that. Oh, you're going to see your client's data and blah, blah, blah. We're still waiting for a lot of that stuff. The MTD VAT stuff is still waiting for us to come, right? We're still waiting for that to come our way. So yeah, that was my thing. And I think thing is, MTD VAT, majority of our clients, they see value in it, so they're willing to pay us the right amount to deliver that service. So if it takes us a little bit longer, we've got to jump through a few hoops.
At that point, they've got a more advanced admin system. They've got more advanced financial requirements. They've got higher income 9 out of 10 times. Like, they're at that point in their growth where they realise they need someone else to help.
Exactly. And maybe happy is a strong word there, but they understand they need to pay for that service, right? MTD, we're going to be looking at a completely different type of client, especially when it gets lower and lower and lower, right?
Yep.
And I just feel like we've not got the client's best interest, or HMRC's from accountants delivering service haven't got the client's best interest at heart at the moment, and it does worry me. It does worry me going forward. Any more on MTD for VA for ITSA?
No, I'm kind of pleased they're not overselling it this time and telling us we're going to get all of these features and then not deliver like they did with VAT.
Yeah, true.
But they do need to be more receptive to constructive feedback. They've obviously not had the seminar at HMRC about constructive versus negative feedback because they obviously can't identify that. Whereas you gave constructive feedback, we need this, this, and this, and they just went, this is all negative. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to be defensive. And it's like, well, actually, there's some constructive information here. Let's take that away and see what we can do with it.
I mean, there was positive in there, like you said. Like the most of that article was positive. They just found that tiny bit of negative. Yeah, and that's what they've focused on. So, but then again, you know, That's probably exactly what happened with the majority of feedback, isn't it? It doesn't. You always focus on the negative. A real quick one here. HSBC are rolling out Ember accounting tools. So HSBC themselves, I only know about this because but part of the business went over to a HSBC seminar, webinar type thing in person. And that their big focus was this new Ember accounting tool that they're bringing into play. So think of Tide accounting, think of Revolut's got one as well, I believe Starling's got one as well. And obviously NatWest have free agents, so they've got kind of the ultimate accounting solution built in. I think HSBC have seen that going forward and want a piece of that pie, and they're rolling out Ember accounting. And Ember is apparently already a kind of a software that's already out there. Never heard of it myself, but HSBC are looking to bring that into play. I'm just really conscious about this. It was fair enough when the challenger banks were trying to put together this, light touch accounting solution, everything else. Massive respect for NatWest to go out there and RSBC to buy one that's already there and implement it and bring it into play, right? That to me, that them two, fine. Like your Tides and your Revoluts and your Starling, they can play around at it, and then they'll get some traction from it, and for some clients it'll be the perfect solution, right? And all they'll ever need, especially for this MTD ITSA and stuff that we're talking about. HSBC trying to force feed us down one, it almost feels like Irish cash flow again, and you know what I mean, like those ones where we've never seen the product, but I don't have I think the track record speaks for itself. Like this isn't going to be a good thing, and all it means is clients are going to be like, if they're already HSBC users, because we're HSBC at Bofix, and my guy was like, shouldn't we be using this? Like, why are we spending money on QuickBooks when we could get this for free? And I'm like, well, very good reason for that. Like, look at the functionality in between the two and everything else. But it does turn heads, and it does make the clients think about.
I spent several hours last week just explaining to a client, just because they've taken all the receipt pictures in Tide doesn't mean that I can see it.
Yeah,
I can't access it. I can't do anything with it. And
they almost feel like that was a waste, right?
Oh, she walked away feeling like she had been missold the Tide bank account, because she was told that you store everything here. This is all great. This is how you do it all. And it's like, well, what do you mean you can't see it? Yeah. And it's like, well, this is your bank account. You can't give me your login details, because that's what she offered me at one point, was her login details. It's like, oh my God, no. I can't see a way to add a user. It's like, that's because you can't. Like, there's a very small niche of people which this will work for. And anyone working with an accountant or bookkeeper is outside of that niche.
Mm.
And she literally just walked away feeling like she'd been completely and utterly missold a product by Tide, and that all that work she's put in to go tick, 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 been completely wasted, because there was no easy way to download them all in one go. There's no anything.
But Tide do have an accountant view, don't they? In fairness to them, we struggled to get it set up. We couldn't.
Yeah, we can't get it to work.
Yeah.
So
their ideal rose tinted workflow is that you have an accountant view, you log in, but then you're supposed to download it as the accountant yourself and then put it into their software. Do you know what I mean? Like that bit doesn't work.
The beauty of it was, though, that it has got her into the habit of taking pictures.
Okay.
So now she's just got the Apron app, and she gets on with it. But yeah, like,
so you're using that as an opportunity to teach her the discipline of it and change it.
We've trying to spin it on a net positive, saying, look, all right, it's the positive here though is you've learned a habit, you've learned a routine. That's great. That's we spend so much time trying to get our clients into that. The fact that you've learned that, absolutely fantastic. Just use this app instead next time. But yeah, the risk they've got, these banks aren't realizing, is they're going, oh, we can monetize this at some point.
Yeah.
So they'll go, right, we'll do it for free for a while, then we'll start selling products and options on top, so we can monetize it. What they don't realize is that it's such a poor product and experience for anyone that's got an accountant or bookkeeper, that actually they're never going to get past the freemium model and it's going to cause reputational damage with that one customer. Now, you might think, well, one customer, 80K a year to in and out of the bank, what does the bank care? Once you start multiplying that multiple times, that becomes a problem. So they need to be more informative about what the product is. Who is that product right for? You almost need to go through like saying, look, you are welcome to a Tide or Starling bank account. Absolutely fine. Anybody's entitled to that or to apply for that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're trying to activate the bookkeeping feature. Here's a series of questions. Can you answer these for me? Yes, no, whatever. And it comes back saying, we're not the right fit for you. Our bookkeeping solution is not going to work efficiently for you and your business model. Speak to your accountant about, or here's a list of HMRC approved MTD VAT tools or IT tools or something. So they're not seen as having allegiances. They can just go, here's the government's list of approved tools. You do it yourself. Or it goes, yeah, okay, you're not working with an accountant. You've not got any ambitions to. Your turnover's this. That means these reporting standards are required. This tool is going to be more than adequate for you.
Yeah.
But there's none of that informative approach. There's none of that. There's just, of course, this is right for you. Of course, it's built. Why wouldn't it be right for you?
For an extra X amount per month, this is the features you get. You'll be stupid not to take on this solution.
Ironically, though, they could all make it very right for them very quickly for the majority, in the fact that they just need to take the same approach Metal have taken. If I take a picture of a expense in Metal, it goes straight into free agent.
Yeah, but in fairness, isn't this where open banking has failed us? Because surely that should have been the remit for open banking. Like, let's have it so that you take
Metro
a photo.
Haven't even brought in open banking, and it was legislated years ago.
But do you know what I mean? Like open, like we should have not been so short-sighted. Open banking has been a pain for everyone to me. It's been so we should have made that pain worthwhile. And one of the options should have been, you take a photo and that becomes part of that transaction, and that transaction can then go back and forth to wherever it needs to go. And what really frustrates me is we were promised this, we'll get your bank statements to come through digitally and everything else. And then they've all failed to deliver on that, other than Lloyd's, but Lloyd's have put all these caveats in, and that whole idea about categorizing, that should just be an open banking standard, right? Like you see a transaction in your bank, or you make a payment to someone, you categorize it there, and then job done, so that the software can see you've done that, and it can map it however it wants to map it. That's for the software to decide how that's done. But that should have been part of the open banking. That should have been what we were sold. Like, the technology was already there. We just needed to take it to that next step. It's already been a pain to implement. We should have just rip the band-aid off, and this is what we're going to deliver. I think everyone would have had a better experience, right?
The standardization of open banking was an absolute nightmare. But if Starling came along and built out an integration into Free Agent, Xero, QuickBooks, and Sage, where you can store your receipts here, but actually, because of our API into your bookkeeping software, we're also going to put them in there for you.
Yeah.
Like, in theory, it's not even an open banking thing. It's if you've started building out as a bank your own bookkeeping solution, which is always going to be a very minimal product, give us the ability our customers the ability to have an API into their bookkeeping solution. Because the amount of my clients that only would need their banking app that way. They wouldn't need Apron's app. They wouldn't need QuickBooks or Xero on their phone.
Yeah, 100%.
They could just have both. Like, I don't have the Free Agent app on my phone, but my limited businesses runs off Free Agent.
Yeah,
and when I buy a copy, I take a picture using the Metal app, and that goes into Free Agent. Like, that is the right use case and model for everybody else to do. And if the banks aren't going to go to the softwares, then the softwares need to go to the banks and start hassling them.
Yeah, because I use Starling, and every time I want to make a payment to someone, I I have to categorize it there and then. And for me, it's frustrating because I'm like, well, I'm going to have to do that again anyway. Or, maybe rules will take it into play. But at some point, I'm going to have to. Like this data I'm putting is just going into a void at this point because it's going to mean nothing to anyone other than maybe their analytics. Like that's all it's feeding at this point, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm having to put that data in, surely then that should feed through and go through from there. So, yeah, HSBC taking
another bank doing it is concerning.
And it's a high street bank, right? Like that's the problem. Like that worries us. Paul says that Lloyd keep trying to sell their own accounting product when they log in, and that scares me even more because Lloyd are probably the most backwards bank I know of at this point in time. So heaven only knows what their software they're trying to sell is like. At least in fairness, HSBC, it looks like they've partnered with someone who might be in the industry a little bit. We've never heard of them, so who knows?
UK relevant or not, different matter.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, them wanting to put, because they will be aggressive with it. They will, and rightly so. They want, they want a return on investment. They've probably paid up front for this, license.
Virgin don't have their own solution, but when you log into like the business hub thing as a Virgin customer, they have deals on QuickBooks and Xero licenses. So could more banks not go down that route? I mean, I don't really see the value of the banks seeing and storing receipts. Like that's just a strain on their already strained infrastructure.
Yeah. And I feel like they're only doing it to keep feature parity, right? Like the challenger banks offered it because the challenger banks can. Like it was just a, expense management. Like that's where I would see the benefit of it if it was for your expense cards that you can create in these challenger banks, right? That's brilliant, like amazing. Like employee X, Y, and Z have just spent this, and here's a proof that they've spent it. Oh, okay, cool. Go for my account. And like I said, if then we could then have the beauty of then attaching that to our accounting package. Wow, brilliant. I just don't see. I just like HSBC just offering it because they want to seem competitive. Then they've got to offer a really good solution to make it worthwhile, right? And I just don't.
And then how do they offer that free of charge?
Yeah, I mean, other than buying out a established solution, but there isn't that many on the market, right? Like,
nope.
Coconut was there. That's gone and got. It's gone. So, be a tricky way to see how that's going to go through. All right, let's move on to our final topic then.
Weather update from Edinburgh.
Go for it.
It is snowing.
Snowing?
It is snowing outside.
It's bikini weather over here. Like, it's
you could
glorious sunshine.
You could stand out there in the bikini if you want, Aaron, but it's a bit cold.
Why?
Yeah,
days.
It's just started snowing. There we go.
5 days. All right. Okay. Cool. So, we thought this topic would be a nice finish to the day. I don't know about you, Jan, but I spent this week or since the 1st of Feb just going back evaluating the previous year and having a look at stuff and everything else that goes with it. So I thought we would kind of openly share some of our findings of the what do you call it? We got, I would say, 3 major platforms that we work on, isn't it? You're obviously LinkedIn, that's your main platform. Mine's YouTube, and then we both partake on Instagram. What knowledge we're going to get out of that, I don't know, but we've got that one as well. So I thought I'd start the proceedings off and just give you some intake on what's kind of going through. So I looked back at the last year for YouTube, which is by far my most prevalent software social media platform, and I got a whopping 278,000 views, but more importantly, from what I care about, I also got 3,700 subscribers. Now, this is a year where, if I'm completely honest, I haven't put as much effort as I should have done into my my QuickBooks Chat YouTube channel. I've been trying to build other channels more, for me, have more kind of importance. So like my Bofix channel and all those sort of ones. And yes, they got some nice results, but consistently that QuickBooks Chat channel has been by far my what do you call it one. And the reason I put so much, or I did put effort in at the beginning, was because that's where I get most of my new inquiries from. So last week alone, I had 20 plus inquiries, and 80% of them was through YouTube. Like, that's how relevant that this has been for me. People are watching the videos and going down the funnel and going through from there. But I'm going to be honest, like, I think I've hit the the ceiling of where that channel can go. The QuickBooks chat. There's only so many people who care about tips and tricks on QuickBooks, and kind of build from there. And trying to replicate that success into something else, Bofix, for example, or Ask the Accountant, which is like probably my main focus now. It's proven really, really difficult. And it's really, I think the learning I've had from YouTube this time around is starting YouTube at this point is so much more tricky than it was even, 4 years ago when we probably started. I think it's mainly because long form content isn't what people are looking for at the moment. People are gravitating to your TikToks and your Reels and your YouTube Shorts and all that sort of stuff. And to create a long form content channel at the moment is tricky, and really, really tricky to bring in. So yeah, I think that's what my learnings is, I'm lucky to already have an established a starting point, and I think that will just help it grow from there. But the ones where I don't have an established starting point, I'm really, really, really struggling to get proper traction on it, anywhere near what the sort of traction I got early days of QuickBooks Chat. What about yourself? Any insights you've had from YouTube this time around?
Yeah, I mean, we did 102,000 views in the last 365 days.
Nice.
Yeah, we're still deciding what, like, because I did all my day in the life stuff, and that was great. It got lots of views, but YouTube's never generated any business for us. So we're still looking at what we do with YouTube and how we use it. To be fair, the YouTube has created business for us, but it's on other people's videos and podcasts where I've been a guest.
Yeah, the collaboration side, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I did a YouTube podcast video thing with a guy called Jonathan J 3 years ago now. I still get a couple of inquiries a month off the back of that because it just worked. It was really good. So yeah, all the social media channels overall for us at the moment are there, but we don't post or anything on them to try and get clients. It's just for the sake of being there.
Interesting.
Me, the best money generator for us and the best lead generator for us is where I go out and demonstrate my expertise in a room full of people.
100%. Yeah.
And that's how I started my business in 2017. Was I used to volunteer to go and speak to new business owners that were wanted to learn about basics of bookkeeping. And a local business charity would organize events and get speakers in. I could go into a room of 30 people that were new to business. I'd walk out within 24 hours, 50% of that room were now clients. Within 6 to 12 months, 80% of that room would then be clients. So huge success, huge conversion rating there. And, I was out speaking in December. I was out speaking in January. We're still getting inquiries off the back of those. So demonstrating expertise in a room full of people, that's a far better tool for me. And social media is really there just to try and make people aware that I'm there and I can go and do these things.
But in fairness, especially YouTube, the other channels are far difficult to do this, but YouTube's where you can replicate.
You can demonstrate expertise, yes.
Yeah, because of the long form content. And I think that's me and you, we love long form content. That's where we've got our passion for it, or at least we seem to get some success for. But I feel that YouTube's still the only place that gives you that chance to replicate that, and you have to strike gold, right? All of this is, is it luck? Is it algorithm? I don't know, but you have to strike the right element, the right gold to get it to work out, don't you?
Yeah, you do. The problem also, though, is so if I go into that room, I've got instant credibility because I've been invited into that room by somebody that those attendees already trust.
True.
So I've automatically got credibility there. And an aspect of that trust of that person rubs off onto my appearance. Whereas on YouTube, like, I can cover the same topics, same in-depth information, but I'm one of many people giving out the same information on YouTube.
Which is where you've already mentioned that collaboration's so important, isn't it?
Yeah. So if I attend someone else's channel and talk, that results, and that person, his and her viewers have already got trust in that person, then they trust to listen to me. Whereas me just having a video and someone just finding it doesn't result in the same trust or the same conversions.
Makes sense. Okay, let's move our attention to LinkedIn, which I think is the most polarizing platform out of all of them, in my opinion. Like, yeah, I still don't 100% get it. Like, I'm there because I feel like I need to be there, as opposed to I feel like I get benefit from it. But do you want to start off like what like last is impressions, isn't it? Is that the one we would?
Impressions for the last year for me, I'm down dramatically. So previous years I've been in the millions. I'm down to 850,000. Having said that, I've changed tack with LinkedIn completely. So in previous years, I was using LinkedIn to get a platform to share my views and opinions because I wanted to be invited to speak for QuickBooks and all these other solutions.
Yeah.
In the last year, because of my commitments to Engager, that would have led to a conflict of interest if I was still speaking for other solutions. So I've dropped that approach on LinkedIn. Now I use LinkedIn to shout about Engager primarily, about my book, about whatever is relevant to me at the time, but not with the end goal of getting a speaking gig anymore, and not with the end goal of going onto someone's podcasts to talk to other accountants and bookkeepers to try and build that reputation, and not to the end goal of, like, I've never really used it to sell my services to accountants, to business owners. It's just my audience of 16,500 people is accountants and bookkeepers. If I started trying to sell to that, it's just the wrong audience. It's a waste of time, waste of everything. So again, like, all of my social channels are currently being, they're in hibernation, shall we say. We're not really doing much. We're just working out what is their purpose at the moment. What do we need them to achieve for us? Because at the moment, I don't know.
Yeah, other than that's the accountant, obviously, because that's your.
Other than that's the accountant, obviously,
which you've seen your growth. I mean, this is where it becomes really fascinating, right? Me and you, like, we almost polar opposite. 16,000 over here in YouTube, 16,000 over there in LinkedIn world, and then probably about similar in our other ones. Like my YouTube is, sorry, my LinkedIn is whatever the number is. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest, right? And your YouTube's really, really good, but still lower, right?
Yeah, only 2,500 subscribers and stuff.
Yeah, which is probably what I've got on LinkedIn, probably. Yeah, about that. Whereas I got 1 million impressions on LinkedIn. Can't tell you why, or I don't even care, to be honest. But at least I suppose that shows you that LinkedIn doesn't care about your following, maybe. And
it really
in fact,
doesn't.
No, I'll tell you what most of this was, and I'm not proud to say it, but most of this is because there's been drama, right? And every time I've had some drama, there's been a spike in impressions, right?
Yep.
That seems to be what's driving the LinkedIn algorithm. Like, but it does, like, 1 million impressions, I got 0 clients out of it, right? And probably 0. Well, I don't know. Maybe I got some benefits from it. I don't know. Don't care. But it does go to show you, I suppose, at least in benefit to LinkedIn, they do kind of reward a smaller channel, maybe a smaller following, maybe. I don't know. Like, we're looking at it based in a few bits of stats here and there, but maybe that is. Whereas YouTube feels like they don't reward you unless you've got that consistency, unless you have to really play with that algorithm, don't you? You have to bow to the algorithm gods on YouTube to get anywhere on it. Whereas I feel like LinkedIn, just sporadically, you have a chance to at least do something. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and LinkedIn, like people of LinkedIn will moan about it not being professional conduct and stuff, and this isn't a post and place to. This isn't Facebook, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
My best post was 40,000 impressions on a bloody beer fridge in a bloody shower. Like, stop feeding
Great
the
post, by the
algorithm,
way.
people.
Yeah, and most of my best posts have been drama, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know, England being compared to Zero, QuickBooks, and all that sort of stuff, all that drama, that rubbish that came through it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting, isn't it? Like, I don't have any consistency on LinkedIn. I don't try. I just post because I feel like I have to. And yeah, I seem to be getting good impressions, but what do I really gain from it? I don't know. That's where I feel like I still don't get LinkedIn. Like Instagram, I understand because I consume it from time to time. I quite like the quirkiness of it. I quite like those short form content. I quite like getting a bit of inspiration from it from time to time. TikTok, I hate, can't stand it, won't go anywhere near it. YouTube, I obviously love and breathe, and
I have a person that does TikTok and Instagram for me, which is it's great because they're platforms I hate.
Yeah,
but then when people talk to you and say,
they're reused content, aren't they? That's what it is.
Yeah,
for you. You're not going out your way for it, are you?
No. But then people come up to you at conference and say, "Oh, thanks for commenting or liking my Instagram post this morning." It's like, this is a bit awkward. It wasn't me.
I know who you are.
A lady that does that for me. But it's like Stephanie says in the comments, though, from a networking perspective, I found you through LinkedIn. I wouldn't have found you on YouTube. LinkedIn also raises your personal brand. And that's exactly what I used it for 2 years ago to get me on the speaking circuit.
Yeah.
It's great but all that does is cost you money. You don't make money at the speaking circuit at our levels.
No, not for
some people do.
Well,
but
for you it did because you got your acquisitions out of a lot of them, right?
Yeah, it helped us get. Yeah, so it helped get that side of things across the line. But again, we're not even looking at that at the moment. We're not interested in further acquisition growth at this moment in time. So yeah, it's there to maintain a personal brand to a certain degree, but it's yeah, there's no return on investment there at the moment for me.
Yeah, and the fact it's not monetized, I think that's a big point. You know, we're not talking massive amounts of money here, but YouTube, I do get that monetization from it, so there's an extra incentive, right? It means I can spend money on toys to help improve it. Do you know what I mean? Like a new camera or a new lens or whatever it's going to be. I don't get that from LinkedIn, so I'm less incentivized to push it. Like,
exactly,
it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. But there we have it. There is your episode of Ask the Accountant number 120. Apparently, I still think it's 180 that you start emphasising that on. But who am I to know? I'm a Formula One fan, not a darts fan. Okay, so we've got a big episode for you next week though, because it is the night before Engager, so that's going to be very exciting. There's going to be a lot of insights into how we've got to where we have, like what to look forward to, that sort of stuff. So we're very excited for that one. Thank you to everyone who has commented on the old channel as well. So it's great to have your feedback and your insights. Johann, anything that you want people to know about this week? Is anything they should look out for, anything like that?
No, nothing this week. But guys, if you haven't got plans next week and you want a day out, make sure you go to Labs. It is a ticketed event. You do need a ticket, but we have a few tickets available because there's people dropping out last minute due to family commitments and stuff. So, yeah, it's not too late. Please do visit us and join us for the day. We've got some fantastic speakers, exhibitors, topics, etc. I can't see how you're going to be disappointed. Put it that way.
Definitely. And I can imagine with the, being in Liverpool, you don't want to try and sneak in. I can imagine those bouncers there would be not to mess with. So do get yourself a ticket before you go. Keep an eye out for the Ask the Accountant YouTube channel. We have a video ready and waiting to go out there and to be launched to the world. Speaking of social, that's what we're going to be pushing with this.
And I will be filming next week the counter to that video.
Yes, good. That's what we want to see. And there'll be a day in the life of and all that sort of stuff, content coming from Labs. We want to really celebrate Labs. So yeah, get yourself onto the YouTube channel for Ask the Accountant. Get yourself subscribed. Hit that little notification button if you want. You know, that's the best way of finding out that we've released something that's for your listening or viewing needs. Right. That is it for this week. Thank you very much, everybody. And we will see you in a week's time for the night before Engager. Cheers, everyone. Bye for now.
See you next week.
Bye.